Hi, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome you all to the series on Thursday for technology. I'm sure you all may be waiting for Thursday. Like every week, this week, I wanted to take a small topic, a function from Microsoft Excel, and I want to go deep dive so that we can understand how this particular function work using different scenarios. I'll also demonstrate at least 3, 4 case studies using indirect function. In the meanwhile, I request all of you, you may share this link to your friends or colleagues or whoever to whom you feel this session is required. You can share in your social media or in the WhatsApp. Without taking much time, let me go into this topic, indirect function of Excel. I'm at least sure that 90% of the people who are watching this might have not used very elaborately the indirect function or might have not even heard about this function. In fact, this is one of the very old function because indirect function is one of the unexplored function of Microsoft Excel. When it comes to the VLOOKUP function, if function, sum function, everyone may easily understand and know because these functions are very popular functions and almost everyone use day in and day out. But in the Microsoft Excel, some category of the functions are there, which you may not use it directly, but which use as best supporting functions. So without taking much of the time, let me jump into the today's session. As you know, uh, I created a folder for this 20th session. This folder link I have already shared in the description of the video. Probably you can open it and you can see it. You can download all the files. Let me open the file with the name called indirect function. I'll first make you understand what is this function. For any function, if you want to become the master, you must need to know the syntax of the function and what this function returns. And in this function, there is a peculiar thing of R1C1 cell reference style. What is the meaning of it? Where it is relevant? And for what things indirect is the best combination? And we are going to see many case studies. Before me going ahead with the introduction of the indirect function, can someone please confirm whether my voice is clear and the screen is properly visible? Thank you. Let's go into the introduction of the indirect function. I always try to keep every function like this because I feel these all are the important things which we need to focus before learning a function. Even you are expert with some function, if I suddenly ask you a question, could you please tell me what is the syntax of the sum function? 90% of you may go wrong. Because many a times we least bother about the syntax, what Microsoft Excel is trying to show us while we write the function. Since we are not sure about the syntax, majority of the cases we write wrong formulas. That's the reason than writing a formula, understanding the formula and function is very important. Let me try to explain each and every piece of what this function is. Function name is indirect. The name itself is suggesting it is going to refer indirectly a cell. A direct reference in the sense, I can simply call A1. Indirect reference in the sense, this A1 may not come directly because of two-piece combination, because of some other expression result, because of anything, the result could be A1. But when some result is an A1, that is always a text. I want to convert this text into the reference, I'll take the support of indirect function. What this function does. So the description of this function, let's look into this. It returns the reference specified by a text string. Returns the reference specified by a text string. We'll talk about it very elaborate. Indirect function will not do any calculation for your information. Indirect function will not do any calculation. Indirect function simply, whatever you provide as an input, the text, it will convert into the reference. The text, either you can provide or you can write an expression which result could be a text. That text indirect function will convert into a reference. So the function name is indirect. It will not directly refer a cell, indirectly it refers a cell. This category of the function is under lookup and reference. If you can go to the formulas, if you can go to the lookup and reference, you can find a function called indirect. Why I always ask people to know the category, because by understanding the category, you will get to know what this function does. Generally, in the lookup and reference category, it's going to look for a value, result either a value, respective value, or return array, maybe a position number, and so on. Reference in the sense, it's going to give me a reference using offset. It is going to give me a reference using indirect, or it's going to give me a row number, column number, because it's going to refer the data, right? The syntax of indirect function is this. Indirect, open bracket, reference text. What text you want to convert into the reference? That text. That means one important thing which is very much required for the indirect function is whatever the text, whatever the first argument you are going to enter, that must be the text. If you put any Boolean value, indirect function will not perform. That means the first argument type is wrong. If you put any number in, because that particular number related reference, you will not find it. So indirect function will not give you any result. So the first argument should be always a text. The second argument is there. In the bracket, you will find A1. Syntax is nothing but this. Reference text A1. Two arguments are there. Whoever attended my earlier videos, I'm sure you all are aware, when you have a syntax, any argument in the square bracket, that means that particular argument is optional argument. So total number of arguments are 2. Reference text A1. Mandatory argument is 1. Reference text. The reference text should always give a result text type. You cannot enter either the number or the Boolean value or any error. It cannot be even an array. Optional argument. Optional argument in the sense, whatever there in the square bracket, one optional argument is there, that is A1. What is the meaning of A1? The type of optional argument is false, meaning if I can put indirect, first argument, let's say I ignored comma. Second argument is an enumeration. Enumeration in the sense a list of values. You need to select one value out of the list of values. Generally, you will find like this, either in the weekday function, even in the weekday function, you'll find the list of values. Or in the network days.intl, you have a list of values. Otherwise, workday.intl, you have a list of values. In many functions, instead you need to type, in fact, VLOOKUP, one of the very famous function, even the last argument is the enumeration, true or false. Exactly in the same way, even in the indirect function, the last argument must be either true or false. But when it is a mandatory argument, there is no problem. We anyway need to enter that argument. But in case of optional argument, we must be little cautious. You know why we need to be little cautious? Because since it is an optional argument, if you ignore it, what by default it consider? If you want to consider what you need to enter. So optional argument default is true in this case. That means A1 style. What are the list of items? There are 2 items. One is true, the other one is false. If you ignore the second argument, By default, it considers the cell reference style called A1. We will try to see what is this function, what is the relevance of A1, what is the relevance of R1, C1, and so on in the next part. I hope I'm clear with respect to the syntax. Syntax is a very simple syntax having one mandatory argument, just the text. Let's go into this function, what it does. Let's put indirect. Carefully concentrate. Here there is a find data. If I want to refer this cell, there are many ways directly you can refer. Equal to A1, direct reference. Enter. A1 if I have written here. What is this? Let me write the formula for this. This is the formula I have written here. A1 is, this is a text. I'm sure you all agree with me because it is by default aligned towards the left side. And the data types in Microsoft Excel are number, text, and Boolean. Numbers by default aligned towards the right side. Text by default aligned towards the left side. Boolean value by default aligned towards the center. That's the reason here true appeared in the middle. These all are the text, right? This is also text because it appeared in the left alignment. This is a number. This is a number because it is aligned towards the right side. Excellent. This is a text, right? Now, if I refer this text, can anyone understand what answer it can give? Simple. Whatever there in this cell, the same answer it's going to give me as an answer. A1. This is a text. But what I am expecting, this A1, I want to consider as a cell. I want to refer this text of A1 as a reference. Then what I am going to do, I will put indirect, take this, close bracket. At the back end, Excel will understand this as a text. How do you know that this is a text? Because at the back end in the double quotation, it appeared. Normally, when you directly take equal to in double quotation A1, you will get A1 text. This is a text. Otherwise, even if you take A join with 1, still this is a text 1 because I'm concatenating. The final result, if you use the and symbol, is always a text. But if I want to convert any of this into the reference, I can put an indirect on top of it. Now what I can do, put indirect, take this, close bracket. This may be A1 text, but because I am using the indirect function, this A1 text will become a A1 reference. That means what Excel does first, Excel will take the extract of this text. Excel will cross-check with this name, is there any reference available in the entire Excel here? If it is matching, it's going to give that reference answer. If I enter, my answer is 500. Concentrate carefully. For example, indirect. If I take in double quotation A1, it's going to give me the same answer. Whether you can directly write a text or you can write a cell reference which can contain a text, or you can write a formula which can result a text. Anything is fine. But this text should match with your reference in your Excel. A1 is matching a reference in my Excel. That is the A1 cell. It's going to still give you the same answer. Equal to indirect. Now let me take A. Join with 1. Still, it's going to give me the same result because Excel will execute this portion. It's going to give the result at the backend A1. Indirect of A1 is nothing but A1 reference. Still, my answer is same. Still, my answer is same. Right? And another important aspect of indirect function. For example, here, this is a particular cell. There is a value called 1000. Now, what I'm trying to do, indirect G1 I have taken. I'm 100% sure you all will answer now that this cell will give me 1000. Let me also write one more formula. Here equal to directly a cell reference of G1. Concentrate these two formulas and this form. When I directly referred this particular cell, I got the same answer. Even when I indirectly referred G1, I got the same answer. Now I'll go back to this. I will delete this. I will delete this. If I delete this particular cell, once I delete, I want the left value should come, right? These values should move towards the left side. Let me click OK. Once I delete, because there is a direct reference to this formula, it has given me a reference error because the source value got deleted. However, in case of indirect function, even if you delete this G1, some cell will come and occupy into the G1 cell, right? So just because you are deleting a G1 cell, it doesn't mean that entire G1 cell is out of your entire Excel. No, some cell will come and occupy into the G1. Meaning, because I made G1 as a constant, whatever the value in the G1 at present, it's going to give me as an answer. That is another advantage of the indirect function. Okay, but you may always surprise, Saran, where I can use this function. Don't worry. First, understand the concept thoroughly, then you can understand the case studies better. Let me tell you, when it comes to the reference in Microsoft Excel, there are basically three types of references you have. In fact, more than three, but just for the time being, understand three types of cell references: cell reference, range reference, defined name reference. Cell reference, I'm sure we all understood. Example of cell reference is A1. This is example. Example of range reference is A1 colon A100. Defined name example, it could be anything. It can be my name, Saran Kumar. Saran Kumar. For example, concentrate now. For example, for this particular one, for this particular cell, for these three cells, I want to give a defined name. How to give a defined name? Either you can go to the name box or you can go to the formulas, click defined name. Otherwise, you can use a shortcut, Alt F3, it will directly take you. Otherwise, Alt Control F3, it will directly take to this particular box. What I'm going to do, I will directly go to the name box. Let me give the name as a Saran Kumar. Ideally, this is a range of C8 colon C10, but I'm giving my own name as a Saran Kumar. Henceforth, Excel, remember at the back end, Saran Kumar means a range of C8 colon C10. Now, what is there? Here, Saran Kumar is there. Now, equal to indirect. What will happen? Ideally, this G12 means it's a Saran Kumar step. Because I kept in the indirect function, it will immediately start searching. Is there any reference with the name called Saran Kumar? Yes, there is a reference. That's a defined name reference. So that defined name it's going to pick up here. So if I enter, it's going to spill those three cells value one below other. But I want to take the sum of this. Let me take the sum. Let me take the sum. So my answer gonna be 1500. Concentrate carefully. To take this to the next level, we will go to the next case study. But for the time being, try to understand, right? I'm going to put here 1000. I'll be keeping here A13, A14, A15, A16. With this example, I'm 100% sure you will understand indirect function very easily. Equal to, though I'm writing at this side, it's not a, interactive because you are in the YouTube live, I am in the Zoom. But whenever I'm trying to write a formula, you yourself try to see, understand what result it may come. You always cross-check with my answer. Indirect of this. Can someone put in the chat box what this can give me the answer? I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Try to understand. A17 reference means A16 text because A17 cell is having A16 text. So A17 is A16 text. Indirect of A16 means A16 reference. That means this reference is giving me a text of A16. A16 text I am keeping into indirect function, which will give me A16 reference. What is there in the A16? A15. The answer is A15. Carefully concentrate. Now, I'll take the same formula, Control C, Control V. On top of this, if I put another indirect function, on top of this, if I put another indirect function, Uma Maheshwara, you are wrong. No problem. On top of this, if I put another indirect function, what will happen? This is the way you need to learn the functions. A17 meaning A16 text. Indirect of A16 means A16 reference. A16 reference is having A15 text. So this part results me A15 text. In fact, we have seen here. This part, the one I have written in the previous formula, I got A15. It's not just A15, A15 text. Now, this A15 text, I am keeping into another indirect function. So A15 text will become A15 reference. That means as if I directly put equal to A15, what answer I'm going to get, this formula also will give me the same answer. Could you please tell me equal to A15, what it's going to give? A14, because A15 is having A14 as an answer. So my answer is A14. Now, for example, on top of this, if I put one more indirect function, now you can easily guess, okay, this is nothing but A16. Indirect of A16 is A16 reference. So this is going to give me A15 text. Indirect of A15 text is a A15 reference. This is going to give me A14 text. That's what the previous answer. Now, this I am keeping into the indirect function. Indirect of A14 text will become A14 reference. My answer gonna be equal to as if I have written A14. If I write equal to A14, A13 is the answer. Because in the A14 cell, A13 is there. If I take this formula, on top of this, if I put one more indirect function, I am sure you can easily understand. For this, the answer is A13. Indirect of A13 is nothing but A13 reference. A13 reference is having 1000 as an answer. Now, if I take this, if I paste here, if I put indirect on top of this, what is the answer? Don't answer like a trial and error or in a sequence. This result is 1000. That's what we have seen. Indirect function first argument is what? Reference text. But it's a number. Even if it is a number, leave it. It's a number, no problem. But in my entire Excel, is there any valid reference with the name called 1000? No. There is no reference with the name called 1000. Since 1000 is an invalid reference, it's going to give me a reference error. It's going to give me the reference error. Are you clear till now? Please answer in the chat box. Until you clear till now, I may not go ahead because basic understanding, rules, logics are very much required. Very much required. Whether you understood this or not, let me give you a small working here. Let me put it as a case one. Concentrate. Let's say I have a couple of figures. Let me have equal to random between 10, 100. Right? This is 1 to 10. I have the values, right? It is in the A cell, right? Equal to in double quotation A. Join. Let me take the row. Or let me take the row. Otherwise, what I'll be doing, let me take this particular cell. I am going to put this cell 2. I'm going to put this cell 3. I'm going to put this cell 4. This becomes A4. Now let me write a formula here. Let me write a formula. Indirect of this, what is the answer? Can anyone tell what is the answer now? 30. If I put 7, if I put 7, A4 will become A7. A7 value is 35. This indirect will give me 35. Try to understand. I have not directly taken this, but I have taken indirect of it. Indirect of it. Yeah. Since someone is asking me to explain this logic, okay, let me explain very quickly. Friend, a text of this will be converted into a reference. I request all of you, whoever feel I am going a little faster, since it's only 1 hour topic, I want to continue. I request you, please go ahead. And after the session, immediately the recording will be available. Immediately within 5 to 6 minutes. You can just pause it and watch it at your own pace. Okay. So let me go ahead with the indirect here. And till now, if you observe, I did not touch the second argument at all in the indirect function, because by default, it's a A1 style of cell reference. What is the meaning of A1 style of cell reference? First of all, in Microsoft Excel, there are two different styles of cell reference. By default, it is A1, meaning columns are indicated with the letters called A, B, C, D. Rows are indicated with 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But whenever it is R1, C1 style of cell reference, rows are also with 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. Columns are also with 1, 2, 3, 4 number. If columns are with 1, 2, 3, 4, if I keep my cursor, how you can call? You cannot call 1, 1. You cannot call 2, 1. That's the reason it is going to be R1, C1. The little difference of A1 style and R1 C1 style is, in the A1 style, column letter will come first. In the R1 C1, row number will come first. But Sharon, how to convert entirely into the R1 C1? Very simple. Go to the file tab, go to options, go to options. You can go to advanced. You can go to advanced. Sorry, you can go to formulas. Are you finding there is an option here? R1 C1 style of cell reference. This one is unchecked. You please check this. Let's try to see what it is. Change the way Excel formulas refer to cells. Instead of using the letters for columns and numbers for rows, this option enables using numbers for both rows and columns. Cells are then referred to as in the format of R1C1. Let me click OK. You will surprise. Now even row and columns all are with the numbers. Since all are with the numbers, if you keep the cursor, it is no more A1, but it is R1C1. Even the formulas are different. The way you take a range is also different, right? Now let me go back, because this is always confusing. I don't want to make you confused more. Let me go back and remove this. Now guys, now equal to, if I want to convert A7 into R1 C1 style of cell reference, can anyone tell what I need to do? It's very simple. R join with this row, join with C1. So that if I change here 1, R1 C1 will come 2, R2 C2 3, R3 C1 4, R4 C1, and so on it's going to give. If I change it 4, if I change it 7, if I change it 1, excellent. Now, for example, I want to refer this, then what I'm going to do? Indirect, take this, comma. If you just close it, it's going to give you the reference error, because Mr. Saran, I could not see any reference with the name called R1C1 in my entire Excel, because by default, I look into a nature of the A1 style of cell reference. But Mr. Saran, if you can just give me comma, false, either you can write false or 0. Now I'll convert my entire Excel cell references into the R1 C1 style, then I'll check it out whether this particular cell is available or not. When it converts entire Excel cells into the R1 C1 style cell reference, this is the answer it's going to give. Right? In some of the situations, it is exactly the same, where you may need to get the column number related value. In those cases, if row number, if you want, even in the A1 style of cell reference, numbers are indicated with rows only. But in some of the situation where column need to be dynamic, in that case, you are going to use R1C1 style of cell reference, right? Let us go try to understand in a real case study where this could be used. I've given two-dimensional data here. The names are there here, vendor and the month names are here. I've just taken a drop down here with all the names of vendors, all the names of months. I want to get the sales. What is the way we write here? There are many ways you can do. I request all of you, whoever watching this live for the first time, last week and before last week, in fact, before last week session, I covered two sessions, Thursday for technology, the Thursday for the technology series, Excel lookbook. Elaborately, I have covered VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP with index and match combination and so on. If anyone want to become the master of lookup functions, you can refer my Thursday for technology. If I'm not wrong, last week I covered about ChatGPT. Before last week, you can find it. In fact, all the videos of Thursday for technology, you can simply go to my channel, go to the live, otherwise go to the playlist where you can find all 21 below other, right? Using the VLOOKUP function match, I can solve this. Though my session is not about VLOOKUP and match, just for your quick understanding, let me do this. Look for this value where within this table, comma, I want to get the column index number. I may not get it directly. So use the match function, this, where within this, comma, exact match, then comma, exact match in the VLOOKUP. Enter, automatically you will get a result. This is using VLOOKUP and match. See how big the formula is. That's the reason I always tell, using some unexplored functions, you can make your work more simple. Indirect function is the best combination for the defined names. What I am going to do now, I will select this data. I will select this data. I want to give a defined name for this as Jan, defined name for this as Feb. I want to create a defined name for this as March, for this as in April, and so on. And also, I want to give a defined name for this row as a Saran, for this row as Vijay, for this row as Maruti, and so on. But Saran, it's a tedious job because you need to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 column defined names, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 row defined names. That means total 12 defined names you need to create. Don't worry. I'll select this entire data. I'll go to my formulas. There is an option called create from selection. You just select top row, left column, click OK. Automatically, it's going to create the defined name for every top row for the below values, every left column for the right side values. That means it's going to create a defined name for Jan, for the below value Feb, for the below value for the March, for the below value for the April, for the below value, and so on. Even it's going to create a defined name called Saran for the right side values, Vijay for the right side values, and so on. If I click OK, automatically, I'm sure you can see n number of defined names it has created with the name called Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, Saran, Vijay, Maruti, Harsha, Bhairav, and Raja. I'm sure you all know that there is an intersection concept, meaning equal to, I can select this space, I can select this space acts as an intersection in Microsoft Excel. Space acts as an intersection in Microsoft Excel. That means I want to have an intersection value, take this range, then take this range with the space, it's going to give me the intersection value. Simple thing. You may say, Saran, sometimes if intersection is not there, what we do? For example, this is there, space, this is there is no intersection. It's going to give in these cases null error. Very limited cases you find the null error in case of no intersection. But in this case, how I can solve? Based on my dynamic values here, I should get my intersection automatically. But without using VLOOKUP and match because it's a little lengthier formula. What I can do, equal to indirect, take this, space, indirect, take this, close bracket. Now what happened? Understand. A2 means Harsha. In Microsoft Excel, in this Excel, is there any reference with the name called Harsha? Yes, I've created a defined name. The reference, yes, there is a reference with the name called Harsha. I'm sorry. Yeah, there is a reference with the name called Harsha. That is nothing but this. I'm sorry. That is nothing but this. Excellent. Indirect of B2. What is the meaning of B2? MAR. It may be text when I execute B2, but because I kept in the indirect function, it becomes a reference of MAR. In my entire Excel, is there any reference with the name called MAR? Yes, there is a defined name. This is the defined name of MAR. Now, when both are matching, then it is giving me this as an intersection. This as an intersection. Now it's going to give me the result 855. How simple this formula than this, you can understand. Now you change here automatically. Now you will get to know how powerful is your indirect function, which make your work more simple. But if you want to do this best, you must need to have the defined names properly. Defined names are one of the best use and best combination for the indirect function. Which version of Excel you have indirect function? Every version, it is there since 2003, if I'm not wrong. Every version of Excel is having indirect function. It's not something new, right? Excellent. I'm using latest version, Microsoft 365. Let us take another case study. Let us take another case study. I'm sure you all are aware of data validation. Data validation is basically a data tool functionality where you can restrict, the name itself is self-explanatory. Your Excel will validate the data before you enter. That's the meaning of data validation. In the data validation, one of the validation is the list. Meaning, if I want to have, for example, here, I can go to the data. I can go to the data validation. If at all I want a list of values, A, comma, B, comma, C, comma, D, comma, E, comma, F, enter. User can only enter out of this. If he is trying to enter whatever he want, Excel will not allow. That is what the data validation is. But here what I am trying to cover, let me have a drop down here, list of values for manager, associate, assistant. Based on my selection, I want to know all the managers at one place. Otherwise, you can even have a list here, the department. What I can do, I can take the list. I can take all these three values so that in the drop down, it's going to give me all three values. Check it out. Now, what I am looking for, consider this as a department. Consider this as a department. Based on the department, I should have the staff in the drop down. That means if I take operations, I want to have the drop down for the operations drop down is what this selected. You will get either X or Y or Z. But for example, if I take it as a finance, still it is giving XYZ because at the back end, I have directly referred to this particular range. But I don't want to refer to this particular range, but based on this value, it should decide whether it should take operations, finance, and marketing. In this case, because it's a finance, it should take this range. It should take this range. So that concept, we call it as a dynamic dropdown. So based on my department or based on my whatever the selection, how I can get that respective column here. This is exactly like a previous case. What I can do now, let me select this data. Let me go to the formulas, create from the selection, top row, left column. Let me click OK. Automatically create marketing. Check it out here in the defined name, finance, operations, defined name, APS, manager, associate, assistant. This everything it creates as a staff, though not relevant for us, it's staff. Now, try to understand. Equal to indirect of this. If I enter, what is the answer? This meaning is marketing. Because I am keeping this text of marketing in the indirect function, it becomes a reference of marketing. In my entire Excel, is there any reference of marketing? Yes, A, B, C. If I enter, this is marketing. That ABC will come ideally. But I don't want these three should come one below other for me. What I want is, I want this formula, Control C, not here. I want to go to the indirect form. Sorry, data validation. I'll go to the list. I will write this formula. Whatever there in the B10 cell, it is going to pick up because I kept in the indirect function. That becomes a reference. That list will come here. Meaning, if I take finance, it's going to give me P, Q, R. Otherwise, if I take operations, it's going to give me X, Y, or Z. Otherwise, if it is marketing, it's going to give me automatically A, B, C. This is the way you can have your validation with a dynamic dropdown. I don't want dynamic dropdown. I want all the staff. What I need to do? Very simple. If I can put indirect of this, it's going to give me all the list of people, one below other. On top of this, I'll put a function called concat so that A, B, C will come one after other. That means the result of indirect function, I am trying to join everything together using concat. But the problem with the concat, you cannot give a delimiter. That's the reason. Let me use a function called text join. What is the text join? My delimiter, I want hyphen or I want comma, ignore the empty cells, comma. What is the data? Indirect of this is my text. So all these text values, ignore if at all empty text value is there, but please join all those items with a delimiter called comma. Excellent. Right? If I go back and change this, automatically these values will change. For example, if this is Varun, Jatin, Kumar, automatically these values got changed. Even if you go to the drop down, those got changed. That's the beautiful application of the indirect function. It's not just limited. Let me save this and close it. I've taken one case study using VLOOKUP and indirect function. By understanding this case study, you will get to know much better about the indirect function. Here you have a January month data, February data, March data, April, May, June. However, if you see, the data might have started at the same column, but the left column is not same. A, B, C, D, E, F is there. Here the companies are different. Here the companies are different. Here also the companies are different, and so on. What I want is, I have given all the unique companies here, A to H. I'll put a drop down here, Jan to June. Based on my drop down selection, I want that particular month values to be appeared here. How to do this? As if it is from the January month. Let's say first let me directly select from the January month. If it is a January month, what I do? I'll simply use a VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP, look for this value where within these two columns, I don't want to select this because in next month, it could be more number of rows. That's the reason. Let me select entire column. Look into these two columns, get the second column value as an answer. Let me tell you again, if at all you are not sure about the VLOOKUP function, please go back to my Thursday for Technology playlist where I explained about the lookbook very elaborately. Enter. Now you can simply copy and paste. Excellent. Because NA is not there here, you got NA error. To overcome this problem, let me put if at all, if NA, give me the result as a 0, so that if at all any value is not there, it's going to give me the 0. Here the question, if I go back and change this to Feb, do you think this value will automatically change? It has not changed. Even if you change it March, April, May, June, it is not changing automatically. The reason is Here, if you see the data, it is taking from the January month, A colon B. A colon B is same in every sheet. Column is an indication that in the naming convention in Microsoft Excel, there are 4 different type of cell references we can give. For each cell reference, there is a different naming convention. If you are referring into the same Excel, same sheet, directly you can give a cell name. If you are referring to the other sheet of the same Excel, sheet name, exclamation mark, cell name. If at all the sheet name is having a space or any special character, give the sheet name in the single quote, then exclamation mark, then cell name. There may be chance I may refer to the external Excel workbook. If you are referring to the external Excel workbook, if it is opened, then you give the workbook name in the square bracket, then sheet name, then exclamation mark, then you can give the cell name. For example, you are referring to the closed Excel workbook. If that is the case, what you need to do? You need to give the entire path of your Excel workbook, including the extension of Excel workbook name, .xlsx or .xlsm or .xlsb, and so on. Then sheet name, exclamation mark, cell name. These all are 4 different types of naming convention in Microsoft Excel. In this case, I am into the second type of naming convention. I am referring from the other sheet of the same Excel. So you need to give the reference here. Then you need to give the exclamation mark. Before exclamation mark, Excel consider as a sheet name. That means irrespective of my month, exclamation mark A colon B same. If that is the case, what I do, I will remove this. I will select this cell, use under symbol. I can put exclamation mark A colon B in the dollars in the double quotation. So that this is a constant. This is dynamic based on this value. If it is Jan, this is Jan. If it is March, this is March. If it is April, this is April. If it is June, this is June. When I am trying to join this value with the constant text of exclamation mark A colon B, whenever you use and symbol, your final result is always a text. But Excel is, VLOOKUP function is expecting here a range, an array. It could be a range or it could be an array which is coming from the other expression. But what I entered here, text. So it's going to give you the value error stating, Mr. Saran, what you entered is not the value type which I'm expecting. I am really sorry. I cannot help you out. But how to convert this text into the reference? Thanks to indirect function. Let's take the indirect function, right? Now this indirect function converts this particular June exclamation mark A colon B text into the reference, right? Now let me give the dollar symbol because I may need to keep column as a constant. I may keep this month name as a constant. Just copy paste. Wow. Just check it out. February, March, April, May, June. You may need to quickly compare maybe January with February. Then you copy this formula, paste here, you'll automatically get it. Otherwise, you may need to compare March with April, January, February, you can get it. Otherwise, if you want April, May, June, select it April. Sorry, this is April, May, this is June. I'll get my result automatically. But here, what is important? It is an indirect function. In this case, I referred to the other Excel sheet using the same technique. You may even refer to the other Excel workbook also. Okay. So let me save this, close. Let us look into the last case study. I don't want to make this as a more complex. Again, let me tell you, I have covered about index function, match function, lookup functions elaborately in the previous Thursday for technology. This case study, if you want to understand more better, I request you, even after this live or after this video you watch, I request you go back and learn it and come back. Okay, here I have 4 products. For better understanding, I kept all the data into the same Excel worksheet. maybe in the real-time scenario, this could be in different Excel worksheets also, but the procedure is same. That's what I'm trying to. There are four products. You have company, you have quarter data. This is the company quarter data. This is the company quarter data, and this is also the company quarter data. Now I want to get, for example, for product one, I want to get B Q2. What is the one I need to do now? If I want to get the sales, what is the one I need to do? Very simple. In index function, because index is for intersection, because it's for product one, select this data, comma, I want to have the row number for D, use the match function, match D within this for the exact match, comma, use the match function for quarter, this within this for the exact match. As you all know, match is going to give you the position number of a value from the range. This will give you the position number of the company D. This will give you the position number of the quarter two. So in this range, I want fourth row, second column, intersection value, enter. Excellent. But now the problem here is if I go back and change this to 2, it is still referring to this Excel, this sheet, this data. That means this may be correct, but this is wrong. Now, instead of this, let me take this. Instead of this, let me take this. Instead of this, let me take this. Now you may get the correct answer. D quarter 3 is 801. Now, if I make this as a third product, again, you have to go back and do the change. But instead of doing again and again, can I do some alternative? Of course. Now, what I can do, I can select this data. I can give the defined name for this as, because it's a product one, let me put, because it's a sales data, S.1 defined name. This is sales. This is S.2 sales for second product. This is S.3. Sorry, this should be S.4. What I need to do if I go wrong, go to the name manager. This one, edit. I want to make it as a S.4. And finally, this one, I want to have as S.3. S.3. Now, understand carefully what I can do. Let this be same, not a problem. Let me write here same formula. But as I already mentioned, the only problem out of this entire formula creating is this one. Now, instead of I directly take it, I directly take to S.3, S.3. When it is S.3, if it is 3, it should be S.3. If it is 1, it should be S.1. If it is 2, it should be S.2. If it is 4, it should be S.4. That means I want it should be dynamic. That means what is constant out of S.1, S.2, S.3, S.4? S dot is constant. I'll keep S dot in the double quotation. I'll join with this so that it's going to give me a text of dynamic value starts with S dot with this number. S, if I keep it 1, it's going to give me S dot 1. If I keep it 2, it's going to give me S dot 2. If I keep product 3, S dot 3. If I keep product 4, S dot 4. But unfortunately, index function first argument, it is expecting me to give a range or an array which can come from another expression. But I am entering here a text. What it is expecting me, a range. You cannot enter a text type when it is expecting a range. How to convert this text type into the range? A reference, thanks to the indirect function. Indirect of this will automatically pick up the right values. Now check it out. Now check it out. Third product DQ2. D is here, Q2 here. If I make it product number 2, D is here, Q2 973. If I make it product number 1, D is here, Q2 384. But in this situation, A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F, everything is same. But tomorrow there may be a situation where you may have different left columns also. If that is the case, how you can solve this? Meaning, I'll tell you the meaning of it. For example, this is E, F, G, A, B, C, right? For example, this could be D, A, C, F, G, B, right? For example, this could be G, H, G, H, A, B, D, F. If this is the case, these answers may be wrong. Why? Because in the first table, D, Q1, what happened? Because I am referring only to this. In this, D is not there. In this, though I am referring to the first table, but I am referring to here, it's not working. So what I need to do, let me give cleverly even this left column, because it's a company C dot one. Let me give this as a C dot two. Let me give this as C dot four. Let me give the defined name as C dot three. And also it's good if you can give for the quarters also Q dot one, Q dot two, and this is Q dot four. It is Q dot three. Why I'm keeping Q dot one or two or three or four? Because here my drop down is 1, 2, 3, 4. If my drop down is A, B, C, D, I'm going to give Q dot A, Q dot 2, Q dot B, Q dot C, Q dot D. Now, how I need to change my formula? Concentrate, everyone. The same formula I'll take it, same formula I'll take it, but I'll do a little change. I'll do a little change in the match function. Now here, actually I was referring to this particular left column, but this should be dynamic. What is common? C dot join with based on this. But this is a text, but I'm expecting a reference. Use the indirect function. Use the indirect. I may go a little faster because we are almost done, but I request you, obviously, because it is in Excel, within minutes of time, you may not understand, but after the session, practice is very much important. Again, this one, I want to take the quarter, Q dot, join with this, but this is a text. I want to keep it into the reference. Let me use indirect function here, close bracket. This is a perfect dynamic case. 1DQ2, check it out, 1DQ2, 384. For example, if I go here, 2, it's not there at all. D is not there. Perfect. If it is not there, if error or if NA, I want, it's not there. Result, company not available. Company is not available. Enter. Excellent. Now you take E. Now you take F. Now you take H. Now if I take third, in third, H is 183. Is it correct? Third HQ2 is 183. If I make it 4, in the 4, H is not there. In the 2, H is not there. Now in the 2, I want F312. In the, I want Q3, and so on. This is the most dynamic formula because I have taken the support of indirect function. But till now, if you observe, indirect and defined name is the best combination. Let me tell you what are the best combination. Indirect countif is the best combination. Indirect rows function is the best combination. Indirect defined name is the best combination. Indirect match is the best combination. Indirect row function is the best combination, and so on. Right? So I'm just stopping here. I hope you all understood indirect function clearly. From today, I request you to start using the indirect function. And I'm also request you, please share the Excelism and Thursday for Technology group. I've created 5 WhatsApp groups. One WhatsApp group is already filled. I already kept the link of all the WhatsApp group in the description. And also in these WhatsApp groups, everyone are the admin. If you want, you can add your friends. You can add your colleagues and so on. Right? So that's all for today's session, guys. See you all in the next Thursday for technology. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.